Crypto catches up to the AI bubble. Want to hear about that? I'll tell you. Let me start with this. AI isn't a bubble. I know. Crazy, right? They could only be halfway through with the zaniness, as one macro group put out today, that the up-only phase has not yet arrived in stonks. Now, if it's not a bubble in stonks and they got a lot more to go on the upside, what do you think is going to happen to its little disruptor brother, crypto? Amazing how crypto has just been left by the side of the road. People are upset. I get it. People are upset. I mean, there's one guy in Patreon, my heart goes out to him. I'm right here, bro. He's like, Bill, everything's falling apart. Where are you? I'm right here, man. I am right here. Patreon's got 3 new pieces. Platinum's got 3. VIP's got 1 in terms of, sectors. Top altcoins for October, and the sequel to the mother of all roadmaps, where we called the Fed top and the Eclipse bottom. Speaking of Eclipse bottoms, remember this morning when I said that you're going to wish you got a 30% dip? Okay, when I did the October roadmap, because I did the same thing the first time, I'm asking the machine, are you sure this is right? Are you sure? Now, tomorrow on the YouTube member podcast, we will be going over the roadmap, sectors, and small caps. So everybody in all the areas is going to get robust amounts of work. Small caps for sure tomorrow, along with a discussion of the roadmap. I will be asking our friendly neighborhood clairvoyant what she thinks of our picks. Also in Patreon, we will discuss tomorrow some of the coins we liked for September. So we did get some rallies in like your Avalanches and your Polkadots before that month-end monkey hammer that we all had to put up with. But you got to start asking yourself, if it's not a bubble in equities, if they're only halfway through, data center construction is off the charts. Like, data center construction has effectively replaced residential and commercial construction. Precious metals are incredibly overbought and in like a media headline phase. It doesn't get any better than this. I saw an article this morning that said Bitcoin has had more fear now, or as much fear now as it did at 83K. So we're at 83K level fear, with equities headed for maybe a choppy followed by an up-only Santa rally. Metals, which are correlated to ETH, and everyone is sitting around going, the sky is falling. Folks, the sky is not falling. And even if it feels like it does, you have to do a Rocky Balboa. You have to get up off the mat, right? Clear out one of your eyes so you can see and get back to work. Get involved, right? I pushed out chips one day too early. I got fooled too. I don't care, right? I'm still figuring out how I can buy more. That's the truth. That's what I'm doing. It's not investment advice. And Toby said it best, right? And this is also in Patreon. And again, YouTube is going to be filled with videos along with what's going to be the mother of all podcasts tomorrow. You want to get involved in the stuff that you're going to hodl. You want to hodl? You want to have diamond hands? Guess what, folks? It's here. Everyone's like, gee, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin at, I don't know, in 2013 or 2017 or whatever. Yeah, okay. We're here. It's here. It just happened. And this little hesitation rally where everyone's like, ooh, I don't know if I can touch it. One guy's like, ooh, it's a weekend rally. I'm like, no, bro, it's not a weekend rally. It's the mother of all rallies, as you will see when you go to Patreon Platinum and get the roadmap, right? This is like NFA. Like ETH below 4,000 is a joke. It's a joke, right? Now, let's talk about AI, because I know Big Rich is in the towel, and I know he's going to love this. So Cointelegraph was out today with 2 different articles. One of them was like, can we reward people who provide useful computing power? It's kind of like proof of work for AI. That's what it's talking about. Can we reward people with useful computing power, useful work? One. Two, it would be great if we had DAOs that could vote on how a model works instead of whatever we've got right now, created by whatever ideology the developer had. I think we know what the answer to that is. What if we could vote on how we want the model to function? You mean they could mix AI and the decentralized world together? Oh, yeah, they can. That trade has not been done. They did this like, when it was AGIX on Cardano with BitBoy, they did this huge pump and huge dump, Fartcoin, AI16Z, the real AI trade. It hasn't been done in crypto for sure. And they got more bubblicious to come in equities, right? In other words, there's a saying in equities, the expensive get more expensive. And it looks like they're going to chase all of that maybe for the rest of the year. Now, that sounds crazy to me, but if it's not crazy, how high is crypto going? Like I can't reproduce this analog that I got from my Goldman chat room, but if you think about the whole 1997 to 1999 rally or the 1997 to 2000 rally, equities are halfway there. Halfway. So can you imagine what kind of banana zone you're going to have in crypto if they go full froth mode in stonks? Or forget about stonks. Crypto just follows precious metals. That's all. There's nothing wrong with precious metals being a leadership group. I've always said it's not either or, it's both. It's alternative forms of money other than fiat. Now, back to AI, right? Back to Big Rich. So when I, throw these two Cointelegraph articles, the top coins that it comes out with, the number one coin is Tau. Okay. And it basically pays model computer providers. Okay. Render, marketplace for GPU rendering, right? AI adjacent workloads. Creators rent compute time. Tokens that you use to buy software. Hello. Right? Akash, which is another top Gann coin that's everywhere, along with like the likes of Pyth and things like that. And one other one I'm not going to give you because it's in the top coins for October piece, and I got to leave that alone. But there are obvious large cap plays that if you listen to that whole story, like if I started out with, hey, Big Rich is a big buyer of Tau, you'd be like, okay, Bill, well, that's cool. Big Rich is a smart guy. But if I start up with we're halfway through an AI bubble, and I tell you that ideas like, sharing computer power, proof of work, voting on how models work exist somewhat in crypto and could get bigger, then you got to start asking yourself, have I got AI in my portfolio? Not to mention this whole idea of the decentralized world. The decentralized world is massively undervalued because, like I said this morning, social media is now run by three people. Okay, Elon, Larry, and the other guy, right? Three guys. And then, of course, you have their models, which are naturally all centralized, and we have no idea how their version of Skynet is thinking. And this says nothing about, the guys from OpenAI. We have no idea what's going on there. But what we do know is LLMs inside of a robot equals AGI, artificial general intelligence. And when that happens, they're going to transact in crypto. So the entire crypto universe has literally, and I know I've said this before, has been pushed on the side of the road because of eclipse-related selling, freaking out, nonsensical geopolitical headlines filled with stuff that was never going to happen, for a market maker stunt to knock everything down, and they may spend the entire weekend covering their shorts because they couldn't break it below 108 per the roadmap that we gave everybody for September. $10 super chat from Big Rich. We appreciate that. The Fed took out $500 billion, right, to rebuild its main account. Dude, it's going to happen, right? The printer is already on. Rate cuts will come after they print. They have to print first. Okay, Big Rich looking for deep. Got to honor the super chat, right? And then we'll get back to the monologue. Dude, right? Suppressed. Downward sloping, expanding triangle. Radical. Money flow about to start coming in. 5-wave bottom, September 25th. Right? That's an 89-minute chart of deep. So that's a tactical view. Glad I caught that. And then it plummets to the discount zone and comes back, just like precious metals went to the premium zone and then came off. Name an altcoin. Like, you know what? Toby was like, yeah, take a dartboard, throw a dart at an altcoin, and you'll be okay. I was like, well, okay, maybe we got to think about it a little harder than that. Not anymore. Not anymore. Right? Especially after some of this indiscriminate mooning going on in metals. Right? If you have metals and half a bubble in equities, one guy here is like, let's go for 200 times earnings. Right? And he said, bottoms stink. Yeah, bottoms do stink, bro. They stink. People are losing their mind. Mainly because they don't understand why it went down. I think it's the eclipse and market makers who knew about the eclipse to just smash it. Just smash it. Right? Everybody got long thinking rate cuts were going to be bullish and they didn't get the follow through. So what happens when it's supposed to go up and it doesn't? It goes down. Convenient that these guys just leaned all over it and crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. And I know they were down there today just hoovering it all up because it looked terrible yesterday. It looked terrible this morning. It looked terrible. Right? And of course, that's because they're just leaning on it, leaning on it, leaning on it, leaning on it. And then when they can't get it back, Solana goes up 8%. Right? And of course, you want to get the roadmap and Patreon Platinum. So there's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. Which one's going to have the bigger October? I was surprised by the answer. I was surprised. And if you start thinking about why Avalanche went up to begin with, why did Polkadot spike to 5? Okay, why did Chainlink move the way it did? In other words, the market got monkey hammered at the end of the month, but there were coins that went up before that flush, right? Pyth went up, came all the way back down, etc. Right? PEAQ, right? Gann coins, model coins. Yeah, okay, I understand. They flushed everybody out. They washed everybody out, but most of the time they got washed out to support points. Either 50% retracements, 62% retracements. If you liked it before it spiked, you got to like it now. Because who's left to sell? Who's left to sell? And this AI trade, I mean, like when I saw this one, thing about like data centers and, maybe equities being only like halfway through the bubble, I'm like, oh my God. And then there's this thing that the guy, Peruvian Bull, is on, which is that, there's all this talk about stable coins in the US, but everyone else, literally 187 countries, I think, I have to check that, 187 countries are working on CBDCs. CBDCs are everywhere on the planet. It's going to be a planetary surveillance state, period. End of story. And who knows, they may be able to do similar things with stable coins, depending on the stable coin. Seriously. I mean, one of the problems with AI models is that they're running out of data. They're running out of data. So what kind of data can they create? Well, all these AI companies are eventually going to create their own coins, right? They're going to create their own coins. Why? Because they want to collect data as to what you're doing via the blockchain, right? Somebody could buy Circle. All these social media companies could start issuing their own coin. right? Why? Because they need the data. They absolutely need the data, right? Crypto Plumber is like, I'm so tired of the FUD. Dude, I'm with you. There's nothing left here but reasons to buy. Nothing. They have used every excuse to push it down. There are no more excuses. There's no Gann excuse. Now, somebody is asking me here, what is Gann? Good question, Chris. Here's what Gann is. William Gann was a technical analyst back in the early 20th century. So like, 1920, 1930, that era. He made $50 million trading stock volatility around the Great Depression. $50 million in 1929. Think about that for just a second. So Gann knew a lot of things. He knew he was a mathematician. He was an archaeologist. He was like Indiana Jones. He was a one-man hedge fund using everything from the sun, the moon, the stars. He was beyond a genius. So I got a little model that I built so I can, integrate some of that work into finding altcoins and making roadmaps. When is it going to go up? What day is it going to top? I mean, these things, we're hot. We're hot from last month, right? Said short it after the Fed and buy it back 3 days after the eclipse. Boom. It was like 8 hours early on the bottom. So that's who Gann is, right? And, you don't have to be a genius anymore. You know what YouTube loves to do? YouTube loves to tell you that you're stupid, that, you have to listen to me because, you don't know anything. I love this thing where, these guys belittle their followers. No, absolutely not. Right. You can figure this out. If you got stopped out and you got any money left, well, good. Then you got some money left and you can play. Because if this thing goes up only, you will never remember that you went stopped out. Nobody in 2017 remembered getting stopped out in August. Nobody remembers that. They remember this thing going up so fast on Thanksgiving and Christmas. There were two guys wearing ugly Christmas sweaters on the front page of the New York Times. One of them was Bitcoin. The other was Ethereum. The headline was, "Everyone is getting hysterically rich and you're not." At which point the market topped for 3 years. But that's okay. That's okay. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Oh my God, Big Rich with the $20 super chat. Just bought more Tau, right? What do you think about Ondo and Render? Okay, well, if you're in Patreon, you're going to be pleasantly surprised about Ondo. We were big on real world assets, and then the model sort of changed its mind about being long RWA across the board. But the coin it picked, I guess I just gave it away. So if we go to DeMark work on Ondo, and we'll get back to the monologue when this is over. I mean, look, man, every single chart looks like this. You have a 13 bottom and a 9 bottom on the 4-hour charts. After you unwound, I don't know, you unwound most of the summer. You unwound everything since July 10th. I don't know what the daily DeMark work looks like. You're headed for a 9 bottom tomorrow. So on any downtick in Ondo, it's a 9 bottom. I'm trying to control myself and not say it so that the Patreon Platinum members can read the roadmap. Okay, Render is very similar. This is actually nifty that the downtrend stopped at this particular point. This should have continued. It didn't. There's going to be an announcement. I've said this before. I do not understand how you're going to have a Q4 without massive announcements. Render actually never went back down to test. No, that's the wrong Render. Coming. All right, there we go. Okay, yeah, that is the right Render. No, this is the right Render. What are they doing to me? Okay, Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is much better. Every single coin looks like this on a 4-hour chart. 13 bottom, 9 bottom, and it's going the other way. Gradually, and then something. Look at this wipeout. This thing went straight up and then went straight down. Like, who's left? No one. No one is left. Traders out. Well, honestly, traders are the ones who made money, right? They bought it when it was down. It went parabolic. They sold it when it was euphoric. But even in the case of traders, right? Look at this. You know, I know how these guys think. They saw it up here at resistance. This is just an example. It went down. They probably got shorted here, and then they all got stopped out, and then they dropped it again. Right? I mean, this has been, you know, stop-a-palooza. Everybody, this is why people are mental, because the bears got stopped out, the bulls got stopped out, and now nobody wants to play anymore, which is exactly the definition of a bottom. Exactly the definition of a bottom. You know, the model likes Tau better, and everybody's not going to win in RWA, at least right this second. That's how I would describe it. Like, more in the reports. Okay. Charlie the Positive Cat says from the antivirus universe that this thing is going to go on a run. Now, you have to ask yourself, again, I talked about this morning. Everybody was talking about a Q4 rally, and then everyone got stopped out. You know, if you look at S&P, like this is probably, you know, this is probably a chart worth looking at, because you have to ask yourself, what happens if crypto starts trading like S&P? Right? In other words, everybody is now used to 30% dips, and everybody is going to look at the next rally and say, well, I'm not worried about it. I'll just buy the dip. And the thing is, in stuff like equities, I mean, not that this doesn't make me kind of want to vomit, but, you know, you're not getting dips in this thing. And you got a dip, but what was it? Was a 23% retracement? I mean, what did you get? Hang on. Yeah, S&P, you know, did you get a 23% retracement? Yeah, they couldn't even get it to a 38% retracement. That's how in a hurry they were to buy it. And I noticed from working in investment banks, I mean, when you get a 23% retracement in equities and it bounces right back, that means they want it and it's going up. So I'm not trying to be in love with equities, because I don't think that's the right trade, even though, you know, the bubblicious thing could happen on a Santa rally. But you got to ask yourself, you know, if that thing went crazy, what can happen with crypto? Particularly, as Big Rich noted, the Fed is in, right? The Fed as an institution has two choices. They have to print to save the job market. They have to print to get the manufacturing numbers, X data centers up, because that's all awful. They must print. Crypto AI reminding you to smash the like button. By the way, I am your host, Bill Noble. This is the market update. The one chart market update is the analog that I can't show you between equities now and equities in 1999. It's like halfway through with stocks about to enter a choppy period. Somebody was asking me this morning about Aero. Like, if you go to the TA on some of this stuff, I mean, it's a very simple question. Do you have any idea what happens if Coinbase, because, you know, Coinbase starts bringing the base network up to Coinbase. Coinbase comes out and says, we want volume on the base network. They can do it. They just have to get off their you-know-whats and do it, right? They just have to do it. And they will do it. I mean, they valued Kraken at $15 billion today. They valued Kraken at $15 billion. So guess what? They have competition now. They have competition. And why would they not use the base network? They sold Aero today right into support. Do you know how many things they sold right into support today? They sold XRP Triangles generally make me nervous in crypto, but it's equilibrium, and I'm praying that they hold on because of the puking that they had here already. ETH is the same thing. I mean, ETH is kind of trapped between support and resistance, but I think the computer is getting fooled here. They're getting fooled into thinking that this decline meant a darn thing. It didn't. It didn't mean anything. And ironically, one of the coins that we had for September, which was Monero, because it was destroyed, actually did okay and hit resistance. So everything that outperformed topped, and everything that underperformed or got hammered bottomed. I mean, Solana takes out 205. You're going to invalidate the pink resistance, and you manage to hold. God, you want to talk about the most brutal cup and handle ever. God, look at this. Look at what they did. They take it out of the cup. They take it out of the handle, and they drop it back into the handle. Sick. I stopped everybody out. Then, of course, it's the Solana treasury guys, right? They're the ones who bid it up. They tried to get it going, and then market makers just knocked it right back down because the Solana treasury guys just, bought it. They took it all. Novogratz took it all, and now, if they didn't reload their inventories, it's going right back up again, right back to the premium zone at 250 minimum. By the way, when you have a cup and handle, just for giggles, your upside target is this. It's the distance of, the width of the cup from the point of the breakout. That's 312 or 306. Everyone's talking about, I don't know what they're talking about today. They're talking about, oh my God, it's bearish. It's all, this is when you're talking about 300 Solana. You want to talk about Solana 300? You want to talk about XRP $5 or $7? Today is the day you talk about it. You go back and you find all the articles when, Tom Lee is in his office laughing at precious metals mooning with ETH sub 4K. He's got to be looking at this going, what are these crypto people doing? I mean, did they not hear what we said? Who are you going to listen to? Like, what research are you listening to? Right? I mean, Eric, son of the man, comes out and says, yeah, I think Bitcoin's 1 million. So, they bought the dip. Eric is very good, man. He's reading his Market Wizards book on how to be a hedge fund guy and how to get long and then come out and talk your book. It's not complicated. And, this Vanguard announcement has been under-discussed. People don't really understand how big Vanguard is. Everyone talks about, BlackRock is this very, influential organization because they have huge mutual funds and they own such huge amounts of stock that, they can call up managers and say, hey, this is your new HR policy. And if you don't like it, we'll sell your stock. We'll start dumping. We'll start dumping dumping the stock. You're going to do what we tell you to do. Okay. Vanguard has the same power along with State Street. And Vanguard, this kind of giving up. I mean, this guy was on the tape going, we're never touching this, ever. We are never, ever, ever touching it. Oh, okay. Customers closing accounts, moving over to Fidelity, who's been mining Bitcoin since 2015. Losing business? I think so. Right? Because what do people want to do? They want to own AI, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out that they both go together, especially with metals moving, right? I mean, people are going to associate gold and Bitcoin as the same thing. What normies are stupid? They don't get that? Of course they get that. You got to be some kind of crypto Twitter macro wizard to figure out that, hey, this crypto stuff is cheap. Equities people are like, oh, wow, they knocked it down 30%. Thank you. Grandpa Keeter with the super chat. By the way, the biggest testimony to our YouTube member area is that the guys who subscribe also super chat. We appreciate you. A lot of these guys are now Spartan officers. They have been members for a year. Grandpa Keto says, great to be back with you live. How about the Avalanche dip? BlackRock, right? BlackRock scooped it up today. Dude, there was Avalanche news this week. And I know what they did to this thing. Like, they made this look terrible. They made this look absolutely terrible. And you know what? They're not done. Like, here it is, right? Here's Avalanche. So this could be a double top with, this could go down if this chart formation held. But to be honest with you, and I hate to say this because it's very undisciplined, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. This is like this is the grand stop fishing exercise. You have a 13 bottom. You have the blow off, the selling climax, right to exactly where you should based on the DeMark work. Like, this is automatically generated. I don't draw that. Right, low down tick. You think anyone's looking at this chart? Legacy, maybe? Low down tick, right on the number, boom. Now they're going to retest this. They have to do a reclaim here. And of course, they don't want to. Everybody sells the first uptick. Okay, bro. Somebody was asking for a price prediction on Avalanche. Yeah, I'll give you Toby's right now. You want the price prediction on Avalanche? I'll give it to you. Here's the price prediction on Avalanche. Okay. Minimum 60. 60 is the minimum. Toby thinks 140. 2021 highs. I mean, what was Avalanche when it first came out? I mean, let's take a brief moment to review. First, it was ETH that moved in 2021. Then it was Solana, and everyone's like, oh my God, you mean there's another layer 1 out there other than ETH, and it's super fast, and you can do DeFi on it? I mean, there were no Solana NFTs in 2021. That was just a hot new platform, right? And what was next? I think it was Avalanche. It was Avalanche followed by Phantom. I mean, it was just an absolute mania. Now, of course, there's a lot of liquidity in the system. Venture capitalists were pumping it. Okay. But, PayPal is running stable coins on Avalanche. Besant, the Treasury Secretary, who just got a comment from the greatest hedge fund manager ever, ever, Stan Druckenmiller, calling him a low-key savage. Why? Well, because he's telling people the way it is. He's telling people about not only politics, but economics. He wants trillions in stablecoins. That's all going to run on one network? I don't think so. You're not going to have trillions on one network. Well, you might, but you might have trillions on multiple networks. Low-key savage. Everyone else is trying to figure out CBDCs. We're trying to figure out how we take treasury debt to 100 trillion. Someone's got to buy those bonds. Foreign countries are not buying them. Okay, good. The stablecoin companies will. But that means the stablecoins are effectively leveraging treasuries to essentially have private sector printing. So the treasury can create money using treasury issuance, bond issuance to stablecoin companies. They create money. Here's a treasury bond. Whoop! Here are stablecoins. And where are those stablecoins going again? They're just going to all sit around and go, oh, look, we have $1. We have $1. No. Tokenized equities, tokenized commodities like water, Solana, XRP. I mean, what do you want? Do you want a CBDC or do you want XRP? That's it. That's the market update. 187 countries are working on central bank digital currencies that can be used to do who knows what. Like, if they don't like you, they just shut that off. They just turn you off. Your account's locked, sorry. Or your social credit score or whatever. That or XRP. You're going to tell me XRP is centralized. Well, guess what? Bitcoin is centralized now that Michael Saylor and BlackRock have huge chunks of the supply. It's not centralized. But you get what I'm saying. Everybody has stopped using their imagination because they've gotten stopped out for the nth time. And people are so frustrated. They're so frustrated. They can't think straight. Now, this regrettably is the definition of a low. And the more pain that there is, the bigger the low you get. And the bigger the ensuing rally you get. Because everyone is afraid of the dip. No one wants to buy it, just like Avalanche, right? Oh, yeah, let's sell the first rally. Stop it. Selling Avalanche on the first rally, you buy the dip on the first rally. You buy the dip, you let them sell, and then all of a sudden, when people come in and buy the dip, everyone goes, oh my God, this isn't going down. We better get back in. And the next thing you know, Avalanche is at 60 because, again, announcements have already been made, but they're not priced in. Like, crypto has got amnesia. They announce things, and people are like, yeah, okay. Meanwhile, the Fed's printing. The Fed's printing, right? You have countries. How many countries have cut rates? How many countries have cut rates? A lot. A lot of countries have cut rates. Now, let me ask you something. I saw a note today from Goldman. Okay. Goldman came out today and basically said a lot of people have cut rates. Look out above. Watch out for this getting zany on the upside. We're talking about stonks, I'm assuming, or risk assets in general. The word that Goldman used, it's kind of a classic legacy term, is that people are getting pushed out the curve, meaning they're getting forced, whether they want to or not, to do more and more risky things so that portfolio manager A can keep up with portfolio manager B. Gee, do we know any fast-moving instrument that can create a monkey see, monkey do phenomenon? Also, from my friends at Goldman, every once in a while I would get to speak at a conference like once a year with all these like top guys. Like seriously, I can't believe it. I was like the 2 o'clock in the afternoon Red Bull guy when everybody was falling asleep after lunch and they would put me in. And then one year I made it all the way up to the number 3 guy. The number 3 guy. But one of the things I came to clearly understand is that when you look at the way these guys talked, when you look at the way they presented, when you looked at the information that they had, right? It wasn't just them, it was a group of people. But it was very clear to me that these guys eat lunch with the top people in the world. This includes, sovereigns, central banks. So when somebody like Goldman comes out and says, watch out on the upside, where did they get that information from? Did they just go, see, how's that breeze blowing? Negative, ghostwriter, negative. Okay. The printing press could be on. And if it is, crypto could be very sensitive to that. And somebody just grabbed everybody's crypto. Because pushed out the risk curve means they got to take more and more risk. That's got to mean ETH. That's got to mean Bitcoin eventually, right? And it's also got to mean altcoins. Because if the SEC makes it easy, right, for people to like issue ETFs, the end of this move in December and January could be that, we finish up with the, the WIF ETF or the bonk ETF, right? When all that starts. People thought the ETH and Bitcoin treasury companies was crazy. It's actually not. They're just hedging against drops in the currency. It's not crazy. Crazy is coming. That's people getting pushed out the risk curve. That's what that means. Again, where did he come up with that idea? It's not that he's not smart. Of course he's smart. But, it's very bold to say it's overvalued, it's up a lot, and it's going to go up more. That's a very courageous call when everyone's like, oh my God, it's a bubble and it's ridiculous and they're accounting and this and that, which is all true. It's all true. Okay, Big Rich wanting to look at Sui. on a super chat. Again, I really think you're going to like the top altcoins from September that carried over into October because we're kind of keeping it simple. And I can't possibly tell you what Toby talked about when it came to Sui. I just can't tell you. You know, dude, on a daily chart, they just blew everybody out, right? This was the 3-wave up here. This was this awful correction. And it's 5 for 5. 5-wave to $5. Share the screen. So here's the 3-wave up. Here's the awful correction. 5 for 5. The 5th wave up. See this little number 4? Maybe, maybe not. Headed for $5. That little DeMark point up there. And I'm sure if you look at the 4-hour chart, I mean, it all looks the same. Every single coin has got a 13 and a 9 bottom. And I can't even remember. I mean, this is the 13 bottom in Sui back in September. Okay, that was the lunar eclipse. So the lunar eclipse triggered a rally. The solar eclipse triggered a decline. Not shocking. I mean, you don't get, like, I can't even find a 13 and a 9 bottom. Here's a 13 bottom back in April. You know, when you get these signals, I mean, listen, in Legacy, when they see these signals, they go crazy. They know exactly what these things mean. They know what they mean. I know what they mean. And now you know what they mean. I mean, we can pull charts up all day long. I'm sure every single chart, Polkadot, Bitcoin, all of it, right? In other words, there are undoubtedly reasons to not be long. Like you're scared of another decline, like equities are overdone. You know, the Fed's not going to give you the rate cuts that they want. You know, you're scared because you've gotten stopped out so many times, you feel like you can't take another loss. Most of the problems with this market are all psychological. Hence, we just started doing 2 streams a day, 3 Patreon reports. I made 5 thumbnails today. 5 thumbnails, right? Because we're just waving our hands in the air like we just don't care. We're not done yet. We haven't even gotten to the YouTube member area where, you know, the USS Toby Ward departs port tomorrow with more small cap picks than you could shake a stick at. We're going after all of this stuff. I mean, we talked about this morning. We discussed, you know, the 3 coins that have like 25, 30, $40 million market cap. Frankly, I think any of these big coins that are under $1 billion, like I said, when you start thinking about what they're doing over in stonks, anything under $1 billion that actually does something is cheap. That's just how I'd look at it. In the small and mid cap stuff, just some of that stuff just been laid out. Some of it spiked and then they crushed it. I mean, in some ways, here's how I would describe like almost the last 2 years. So if you go back to September of 2024, that was all the way up into December and January, all the way back down again. Then you did nothing for 8 months. Then on the election, it was all the way up and all the way back down again. And you did nothing for 8 months. Then in September, it was all the way up on the lunar eclipse and all the way back down on the solar eclipse. Now, when you have up, down, up, down, up, down, in Elliot Wave, that's called a series of 1s and 2s, right? Start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. The more of those you have, the bigger the ensuing trend, right? Because you want to catch the third part of the third part of the third wave, right? These waves, they break themselves down. The juicy rally is to catch that 3-wave, to catch the meat of the 3-wave. It's like, you know, the filet mignon of technical analysis. It doesn't get any better than this in terms of the setup. I didn't think it got any better than this 2 days ago, and they actually made it better by dropping it and creating retail despair beyond belief. And, you know, you got guys asking about BitTensor, Render, Akash we talked about today. We talked about Ondo. You could probably throw in Chainlink. That's 5. And then Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and Avalanche. Thank you for shopping at the market update. I mean, we got more advanced research. We got stuff that we think is going to go up a lot. We got roadmaps. But I mean, if you're listening to this in some far off land, you barely got enough money to maintain an internet connection to listen to the sound of my voice. Toby's like, you know, get busy on your HODL portfolio, whatever that is. Whatever that is. Right? Because you have to ask yourself, you feel bad right now. You're going to feel a lot worse if this thing goes vertical and you were too afraid to participate, hence us being on the air all day, every day. Okay, Julius Max for Aster, which I should probably know more about. Feel free to educate me in the comments. Okay, this is a perp contract. Okay. Okay, so this looks like this is just an 89-minute chart. I don't know if I have the right thing. I have heard about this, but this is what it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, and everybody's waiting for the 5-wave climax. Probably shouldn't say that word on YouTube, but that seems to be what's happening. Everything is either at a low or waiting for some kind of like blow off top. Like just crazy. I mean, precious metals. I mean, you know, I've been a big fan of platinum long-term for a while. I mean, look at platinum. You're like, oh, what meme coin is this? No, dude, that's platinum. They use it to make catalytic converters in cars. It's also a precious metal. But, you know, you got LuxAlgo giving you a nice 5-wave signal, so it's over. Right at the premium zone. Meanwhile, that's a 1-hour chart, sorry. Right? Meanwhile, everybody out in crypto. Everybody out. I mean, this has done nothing but go up as crypto has done nothing but go down. No, it's a catch-up trade. I understand that. And this is very constructive. I'm not saying it's terrible, but, you know, it's up only. It's up only. And you know what up only does? Up only is like the common cold. Just like down only. Down only can spread from market to market. So can up only. I mean, if you're doing it in one market, you can do it in another. And, you know, if you wanted to, you know, you wanted some payback, these market makers who just pushed everybody out, you know what they're going to do all weekend? They're going to do it to the Bitcoin ETF guys. They're going to buy this thing all weekend. They're going to be like, okay, we got everyone's crypto. Now we're just going to ramp it. We're just going to ramp it when everybody's not paying attention watching college football. Right? Big Rich with another super chat. We appreciate you, sir. Very, very, very much. Okay. Silver. You know what? Let's go to silver on DeMark. I think this is the only way to do it at this point. Okay. We can go to SLV. Share the screen. Okay. So SLV, I mean, kind of freaky. No sign of a top on the 4-hour chart. None. Whew. Freaky. On a daily chart, it's a 13 top and everybody knows it. So, you know, I'm not going to fade this, but you have to start asking yourself, like, if this is what SLV looks like, what is ETH going to look like? This is what I keep saying, right? Like, you know, but, you know, the silver crowd has been saying for a very long time that, you know, the paper supply of silver and the physical supply of silver is actually a bigger mismatch than what goes on in gold. Like the silver market could literally kind of like break itself and you could have silver at $100 and something or more. Now, again, FOMOing in at the top, I understand if you want to FOMO in, but I would much rather FOMO into altcoins at this point than some of this stuff. Because, you know, like if you go to like, I don't know, maybe we could pull up, maybe we could do some like macro oriented stuff, right? Like, or maybe we could look at others, you know, just like altcoins in general. Just smashed. And then you put SLV on the chart, or you put silver futures on the chart. Is there something wrong with this picture? There's kind of something wrong with this picture, right? You know, alternative assets. I mean, yeah, crypto has mooned while silver has done nothing. So it's not uncommon. Right? But, you know, like I said, silver is acting like an altcoin and altcoins are acting like it doesn't matter. It does matter because people are getting pushed out the risk curve. Right? This silver, there's altcoins going in the opposite direction. Now, again, it's not uncommon. Altcoins have mooned without silver, but note how that was not sustainable. Here's silver down here, and altcoins went all the way up and all the way back down. What happens if altcoins follow silver and it sticks? What happens? Okay. I don't know, man. Again, you go back to silver. Okay, this looks like a 13 top on the, but you know, on the weekly chart, there's no sign of anything. There's no sign of a top anywhere. No, you know, it's only on the daily chart. So if they wave their hands in the air like they just don't care, I would strongly prefer ETH, right? Like gold had a 13 top on the weekly in July, and now it's like pressing the blow off top level. But again, I don't see. I mean, gold could have 2 more big up days before this is over, at least on the daily chart, right? Because it's just an 11. There's 12 and 13 to go. Can you imagine if you're waking up on Sunday night and the Asians and the Japanese and, you know, the Chinese and the Russians are all after gold? Big Rich, 98% crypto, 2% silver. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, you know, you got a lot of guys super chatting in here, by the way. I appreciate that. Grandpa Keeter wants to get it up to $250. I appreciate anything that you guys can do. We are on the air all day, every day to help you, right? Make sure, gentlemen, you get yourselves in Patreon Platinum, and make sure you tune in for Toby Ward tomorrow. We'll announce the time, right? If now is not the time for small caps and banter bubbles, right? I'm going to be going back through the stuff that she wanted to look at like a week ago when we thought it was a fire sale, and we knew it was going to be a fire sale off the eclipse. They just had to give us that fine little, you know, rubber glove snap, make it 8 hours late just to push everyone out. Everyone out, right? Music Miracles talking about Mira launching on MEXC. I got news for you. One of the things that Toby talked about back when was, you know, get involved in the new stuff. Okay. No real chart on Mira. Get involved in the new stuff. New stuff. You know, there's HODL stuff and new stuff, right? It's decentralized AI to prove AI output is not garbage or fake. You know, there's going to be proof of human and proof of computer. We've seen both coins. We've seen proof of computer, proof of what model it came from. You know, and, you know, it is absolutely unbelievable. Like if you look at Clearpool today, so that's just Dario's project. It's like, and this is something you need to remember in a lot of these coins that are down, because that's all Toby wants to look at is coins that are down. Clearpool is up 15% today. Can you tell? No, not really. You know why you can't tell? Because look at this give up trade. I mean, this is like your basic lender. This is like disrupting banks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 candles, like the movie. 16 red candles between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. People want to know who Gann was. Gann was the guy who figured out eclipses meant volatility. And in equities, volatility meant selling. We got that mostly right, but they gave up. They gave up in everything, not just Clearpool. I saw the give up trade in antivirus, which I think is ridiculous, because I think you're going to have some sort of AI singularity moment. Like, you got to ask yourself, how is NASDAQ going to repeat the insane up only of 1999? Like, how exactly is that going to happen? Well, there's got to be some kind of catalyst. It can't be just, oh, well, such and such company beat earnings. No. Something's got to happen, right? In other words, in research, you get paid for imagination. Like, what can happen that's maybe not negative? Everyone's like, oh, you know, currencies are going to fall apart. The world's going to come unglued. Toby's like, drop that. I love that stuff. I grew up on that. She's like, stop it. Stop it. Okay, well, stop it. Okay, so what's the positive thing that can happen? What's the shocking new sci-fi revelation that gets everybody talking? Privacy, gaming. By the way, did you see this Electronic Arts announcement? Toby's been picking gaming coins for 2 weeks going, you know, I thought gaming was next year. And I don't know, man. They just took EA Sports or Electronic Arts private at a $50 billion market cap. Why? Because the data that they collect on you while you're playing the game, the in-game assets that you buy. I was talking to some guy the other day. He's like playing a tank game. You know, the guy's spending like 10% of his disposable income on like tank decorations. In-game assets, right? In-game purchases. If they're out of data, where are they going to get data from? Video games, the blockchain. Where are they going to get data from? Electronic Arts worth $50 billion. I don't think altcoins aren't worth the thing. You know, like that's like half the market. Like, what is others? What is others again? I don't know. Like, altcoins outside the top 10. Indulge me here. Altcoins outside the top 10, 297 billion, 300 billion. So what's 500 over 300, right? What? One company is worth 15% of Web3. One company is worth 15% of all of Web3. Can you name a gaming coin? One of them is in our Patreon reports. It's like 0 people are talking about that. 0. Like one person's talking about that. Toby's talking about that, right? Because a lot of times when she picks stuff, it's like, oh, look, it's gaming. Oh, look, it's gaming. Oh, look, it's gaming. Okay. Well, the valuation of gaming just changed. This is what you get from equities, right? People getting pushed out the risk curve, right? It's like forced participation. Okay. Well, what happens when forced participation hits crypto hedge funds? Right? Big Rich just got involved in the super cycle report in the Patreon store. Sir, we sincerely appreciate you. By the way, for Patreon Platinum Research, right? You click on the tab, it says collections, right? Sector analysis, new sector work. So what coins are in what sectors and what coins in those sectors do we like? The super controversial October roadmap, the sequel to our insane, super crazy September roadmap, and your altcoins for October. All right. Also, sector analysis, the 6th Street Crypto guys got that. 6th Street Crypto is coming as well. So, those guys should not feel left out because there are a ton of coins in that sector analysis. Again, folks, most of the stuff we're talking about is really not that complicated. We're not trying to overcomplicate this. I mean, yes, we have some small caps. Yes, we have lists. Yes, we're going to go through all this stuff. That's like, trying to find 100x like everybody else. I get it. All right. But you can keep this simple. You can. Okay. To our super chatters and to our members, we thank you and we appreciate your business. Please subscribe to the channel on the way out. We will see you on next week.